I am not going to lead the meeting tonight. I have a serious family issue that I need to be available. I may need to leave and not stay for the whole thing, but I am here because I wanted to give a presentation for the school-based health center, as I haven't heard anything more than any other board member. So I'm here for that. If I leave, that's, I have a serious, very serious family issue. So Tony has graciously agreed to run the meeting. I will give everything to you, and I'm grateful for your help and your partnership.
Thank you very much. So good evening. Let's see. Welcome to tonight's MSAD11 school board meeting. This is a meeting of the board held in public, designed for the board to conduct its official business, and that is on the agenda for tonight. While time has been set aside on the agenda for public comment, I would like to remind everyone that this portion of the meeting is not intended for interactive dialogue. During public comment, we ask that there be no clapping, booing, or other disruptions. Additionally, props and posters are not permitted in the meeting room. See those present now. Outside of the designated public comment period, the remainder of the meeting is reserved for board discussion and decision making. Anyone who does not adhere to these expectations may be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in maintaining a respectful and orderly environment. So thank you in advance for that. On that call to order, I would like to start the introduction of board members.
Michelle Tucker Gardner.
Sean Pope, Gardner.
Joanne O'Brien,
Megan Carlson.
Tony Veet.
Patty Burns,
Melissa Tracy.
Linda Caputo.
Janelle McKinnon.
Jeff Hanley.
All right, and administrative staff, please.
Bob Hopkins, Superintendent.
Andrea Dish, Business Manager.
Jerry McGuire, Director of Technology.
Katie Gould, Principal at Helen Thompson School.
Lauren Arnold, Principal at Gardner Area High School.
Angela Hardy, Director of Curriculum.
Okay, if that's all administrators, if we would all stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we're now entering the public comment time of our agenda. We're about to convene into that period of our meeting. State law in Maine requires a public comment item on agendas of a full meeting of the school board. Please note that the public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns or questions tonight. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel, particular student matters, any rumors presented as facts that compromise the privacy of others, and any health or medical information protected as confidential. On any matter of concern, we would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. We ask that speakers please address comments to the board directly rather than to the audience. Speakers may address items pertinent to tonight's meeting agenda or any topic related to the school unit's programs, policies, or operations. In the unlikely event the meeting becomes unruly, the board will recess the meeting and return once order has been restored. Finally, I want to remind everyone that you may submit written comments to the board in lieu of speaking during the public comment period if you so choose. Regarding the protocol for this evening, please review the board pamphlet, Welcome to our school board meeting, that provides a copy of policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings, that explicitly outlines the manner in which the public comment will be managed. Individuals who wish to speak are required to fill out the sign-in form. Those who wish to speak will be required to state their name and town or city of residence before beginning your remarks. Consistent with policy BEDH, the board will hear public comments from residents and employees of the school unit first. If there is time remaining in the public comment period, once all the residents have had the opportunity to speak, the board will permit comments from non-residents. The board will now entertain public comments for 20 minutes. Each individual speaker is allotted 2 minutes. The individual time limits will be enforced so that as many members of the public who wish to speak may be allowed to do so. So I believe we have a timekeeper. And do we have the list?
Yes, you are
Yes, thank
welcome.
you.
There's, oh wait, no, sorry, right there. There was a second sheet started. Sorry about that. You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you everybody for signing in. And I would like to refer, I know we'd had a discussion before about having no signs or placards, that kind of thing in here. My understanding, while I absolutely enjoy the right to free speech and want to honor that, I also want to make sure that other people can see. And I want to make sure that we use language that fits the discussion or the conversation we're having here, the information that's being shared tonight. I'm not going to swear tonight, and I'd like to extend that to everybody else. So please I would like all signs to be outside. I think I've made that clear earlier. What I'd also like to make sure is that everybody can see, so please keep them in a way that is not disruptive to others, and that's where we will draw the line. So for the public comment, I have Patricia Morris. Excuse me, Patricia Morris.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Patricia Morris, and I currently teach until tomorrow. I'm retiring from the high school. I live in West Gardner right now, but as of tomorrow, I will be moving back to Bridgeton. So I'm here to support the establishment of a school-based health center at our local high school because ensuring that every student has access to regular, reliable health care should not be controversial. I taught 18 years at Moranica, and they have a school-based health center. I never saw any controversy, and I saw firsthand the benefits of that to the school and the community. The health center is about meeting the needs of students, many whom face barriers to getting basic medical care. And so a school-based health center would give them better, more consistent level of care right where they already are at school. We're talking about improving attendance, supporting academic achievement, and helping students stay healthy and safe. When kids are healthy, they're better able to learn, and that's not political, that's common sense. Unfortunately, a national misinformation campaign has tried to turn this into something it's not. Outside groups with no real stake in our community have spread fear and lies about what this center will provide. They claimed it will offer transgender affirming care as if that were its primary function. Let me be clear. The health center will follow all local, state, or federal guidelines. It will not bypass parents. It will not provide care that they're not allowed to provide. And this is not a political agenda. It's a health resource. Okay, worse than misinformation is the way it's been used to attack individuals. Our
10
school board
seconds.
members, your neighbors have been harassed. Our school nurse, who has devoted her career to caring, has been vilified. And I just want to say in my last few seconds that I want to put with those who've been targeted. We see you. We thank you.
Time.
For your state.
You are standing
Thank
with
you.
me, even when it's hard.
Could I get you to lower the sign, please, so that people can see past you? Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Teresa Garrett.
My name is Teresa Garrett. I'm a past school board member. I am from Pittston. My husband and I have 7 children together, most of who graduated from Gardner High School. I myself graduated from Gardner High School, as well as my husband and my siblings. I was one of 5 children. My mother was a pediatric RN, worked full-time, came home and took care of her 5 children. We did not go without health care. Health care is out there. As a matter of fact, the population of Gardner High School was over 1,200 students when I attended there. Now, I'm not sure, what's the enrollment? Anybody? whatever. I'm speaking against the clinic. I don't think there's a need for it. I think that if people want to care for their children, they'll find a way to get their children to seek and get medical services. I'm also here to, as a past school board member, to speak my truth, which is I've been on several boards in my life, and I've never been on a board that is full of so many bullies. I was bullied for 3 years. I prayed every day when I came to my meetings for God's protection against the bullies on this board. I call out Becky to resign.
I'm sorry, we're not gonna bring up members here.
Okay. Also, my last paycheck got sent to the state of Maine. I got a letter, email as well from the state of Maine saying that I had unclaimed property with the state of Maine in the value of over $100. When I did the forms, got the mail, it was my final paycheck
10 seconds.
from the school board who knew where I lived, and they sent it to the state of Maine. Also, my second to the last check was outdated, so it's null and void when I received it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Samantha Coots.
I'm Samantha Coots, live in Randolph. I'm just gonna start out with a prayer really quick. Lord Jesus, I just pray and ask you to take over this room. I pray for eyes and ears to be open and for truth to be revealed. I pray, Holy Spirit, guide me. Father God, thank you. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen.
I get really nervous speaking up here, but I'd like to first address Becky. Madam Chair, I thought that it was terrible how you treated Michelle.
Names.
And hypocritical when there were signs here pointing at her and you allowed that and then said that you enjoyed it. I thought that was terrible. And then you kick out other people for doing something, the same thing, but in opposition of you.
So we're not gonna talk about
Okay, that's it.
members here.
Let's see, I'm also here, I'm against the healthcare clinic as well. I'm not impressed with the sneaky timing, but it's nothing new. Most importantly, I pray and urge you to establish a policy of parental notification. This is different than parental consent, which if this goes through, that would encourage good communication between schools, parents, and kids. Thank you.
Yeah, Becky. Yeah, Becky.
You're great.
Thank you for your comment. Jamie Thomas, please. Actually, I'm so sorry. It's out of order. I'm gonna look for Jennifer Richardson. Looks like the name I just called is from a different town. Sorry,
I'm Jamie Thomas.
yeah, I'm sorry, from Sydney, is that?
Well, yeah, I'm an educator.
Oh,
Hi,
okay,
Gardner.
sorry.
Ed Gardner.
Oh, I'm so sorry, yes.
Yes.
And-
I was asked to come
Yeah.
here today and
Yes.
speak. I have some concerns. One of my concerns is I believe that the voting for the healthcare for the district is tonight. However, that was not clear on the agenda. Which means that is not fair to our district and our parents. And I think that that should be rescheduled. First thing. I spoke to many Cockleys today asking if they were gonna be here, and they said, no, we were told by members of the board that the voting is not this evening. So that needs to be rescheduled. That is not fair. So I am here on behalf of my colleagues and the parents of Gardner for that. I am also going to continue with this health clinic because there's something not right about this health clinic, and I have some serious concerns. First, from a moral and a professional standpoint. Now, I'm a behavioral health specialist. I'm also a victim advocate. And the way that this clinic is worded, that parents are not gonna be included in any of the say that these children are gonna be having medical care for. Now, it is parents' job. I'm a mother of 3. I am a grandmother of 2. I had a baby at 17 because I thought that I knew that I wanted a baby at 17 years old. Now, the brain is not even developed in the child until the age of 25. And that's just fully developed. That has absolutely nothing
10 seconds.
That has absolutely nothing to do with their maturity level and their decision making.
Absolutely.
A clinic cannot, you cannot,
Thank you.
all right,
Thank you for your comment. And the signs in the back, please keep them down. You're interrupting other
thank
people's
you
line
all
of
for your
view.
time.
Yeah, and I've asked you to keep them down, and you did, and then you're standing up with them again. So please just keep them about your person, please, and not wave them around.
They're not the right signs.
Thank you. Jennifer Richardson, please.
I do not
Oh,
feel comfortable with that.
Don't feel comfortable there yet. Could you move your signs to
I
another?
don't feel comfortable with him behind me.
Yeah,
So his whole body needs to go
Yeah.
sit down. He's
I
dangerous.
mean, he can, if
That's
people that
encroaching
are
on his
speaking,
space.
they want him back there,
Whether
that's
you're
fine,
for or
I don't
against.
feel comfortable.
Oh, sit down.
He's not gonna sit down. in his
I'd like you
seat.
to return to your seat, please.
I should
Can Jennifer speak over there then? Can she speak elsewhere?
Hold
Like, this is ridiculous. It's a grown man. Acting like a
This is a
toddler.
guy that was screaming last time. I don't feel comfortable with him
So
behind me.
I'd like you to take your seat or leave the,
No, that's,
Point of order.
this is bad.
I don't want anybody standing behind me.
your seat.
Chairman, point of order.
Other meetings were. Point of order.
Yes, Director.
Other people are standing, you have to make them sit as well.
He was sitting front row and got up to.
I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
If he wants to stand someplace else, that's fine, but
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
want to
gonna
stand.
recess the meeting. I'm gonna recess the meeting for 5 minutes. We're gonna regain order and determine
No, I don't.
Clearly.
speaking locations.
Yeah, I did.
I'm building
Voice.
Thank you. All right, so public comment section is back in session. I hear the concern from the community member not wanting to have somebody behind them, and I would like to ask once again, you sir, to sit down. You can sit with your sign, and you're not gonna do that, yeah.
I mean, you
see
can
that.
stand
So-
someplace else.
Yeah, or stand actually someplace else, just not right behind the podium. Yeah, I think you're not bad, yeah. So the other thing I'd like to extend is that if people would like to just stand at their seat and just speak from there, I'm comfortable with that as well. So I want to make sure everybody's heard. Yes, if I can invite Jennifer Richardson to speak.
Thank you. That was a little creepy situation there. My name is Jennifer Richardson and I'm from Gardner. So my one concern over all of these months is equal opportunity for all students. Not just the ones who were fortunate enough to be born into a safe, financially stable and supportive home. Are you serious?
Are you serious?
I'm gonna, yeah, pause again. Can you just remain in one spot, sir?
I'm a behavior teacher.
Yeah.
This creeps me right out.
Great.
Ridiculous.
No, I'm
That's ridiculous. Nobody wants to be pray for them. So. we're good.
No, so we can't see.
They're
through
not
those,
even
sir.
from here.
Please.
It's just.
Put that in my face, I find it offensive.
At this point, I'm gonna declare that behavior disruptive to the meeting. I would like you to leave, sir. I'd like you to leave now. You've disrupted this meeting sufficiently. You've demonstrated you're not willing to sit here and stand here and participate by the rules the rest of us are agreeing to.
The issue was.
No, I'm sorry, I'm
Princess,
sorry.
please.
We're just doing this part here.
No. The issue was.
Where the
not
disruption is
blocked.
ending,
Now
and
he
then,
sits down. Big
Ms.
boy.
Richardson,
One to go.
I want him to go.
You're not from here.
Yes, please.
You have no
Go.
children here. You don't work here. You don't live here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Ma'am, you have hair in your butt, ma'am. You have hair stuck to your butt.
Stop clip farming.
Point of order again.
So
Oh.
your point of order.
In previous meetings, people were allowed to parade in front of the horseshoe with signs.
We were trying to.
You back us up.
Excuse me,
If we
please.
were asked to
nothing from the
stop, we would have
audience.
immediately.
Nothing.
So again, this is.
I'd like you to leave, you're disrupting the meeting.
She's yelling out.
Neither are you, yes.
And
She's been doing it.
No, excuse me, I have the floor, I'm speaking. This board allowed parading of signs without any comment to the negative. Then, as the meeting progressed, the chairman of this board actually said they enjoyed the sight of the signs and the people bringing them here. You can't have it both ways. You have to treat everybody equally.
and I hear your point of order, and my reflection on that time is that we discontinued signs because we don't want that behavior. And that had occurred a couple of times.
You can't
What's-
invent new rules.
I didn't do that, and so I would invite you to take that back, frankly. What I'm looking at is that this is disruptive to the meeting. We have somebody ready to speak, and that behavior with the signs was disruptive. I'm not agreeing with that tonight, and I'm gonna have people continue to speak in a
You're gonna get a First Amendment lawsuit is what you're
Emma
gonna get.
Doxy screaming out from the crowd is also
I am-
disruptive. Is she gonna get asked to leave now? Because she's done it several times.
And he had
I
done
haven't heard
that
you say anything to her
several
yet.
times, and I'm gonna ask everybody
Speak very.
to keep
Point of
their
order.
comments.
She's still doing
to
it. Please ask
themselves.
Emma Doxy to leave. Who is
I'm gonna have
Okay.
Jennifer Richardson continue her commentary,
Of course.
Of course
please.
you will. Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna start from the beginning because I don't remember what I said. Where were?
No, I'm sorry. How long was she in? No, she does not get special treatment. How many seconds did she?
I'm gonna recess again.
Yep.
Ms. Richardson, you have 1 minute and 47 seconds remaining.
Back online.
Thank you.
Jennifer Richardson from Gardner. Many people have expressed concern over a particular need their student has, support for autism, speech therapy, medical support for medical needs like diabetes or cerebral palsy. It seems like people can see the validity of their needs, but not the needs of others. I remember when I was teaching in Massachusetts and we learned that speech impediments would no longer be covered by speech therapy. If it didn't impede learning, you didn't get the service. Students with a stutter or lateral lisp were out from services. This wasn't a concern for people who had quality private health care. They had their PCP, diagnose, order speech therapy, and they had fully covered private speech therapy. Children with parents that lacked private health care grew up with a stutter or a lateral lisp. If we have a public school, it would be fantastic if all students could be provided with the tools they need to be successful, whether it is speech therapy, a health aide, someone to scribe for them, or a place where they can receive treatment for lice, a throat swab, or treatment for an infected toe. If you don't need those services, take a moment and count your blessings, rather than judge people who do. And I want to say again, you know, his rights end where my rights begin. I have a right to stand up and speak without
10
nonverbal
seconds.
person looming behind me and making me feel unsafe. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Jen Scully.
Good evening. My name is Jen Scully and I'm a resident of Pittston with 2 children in the MSAD11 system until Saturday. Tonight, I wanted to share some statistics about school-based health clinics. From the School-Based Health Alliance, students who use SBHCs have 18% fewer absences than their peers who do not. From the American Journal of Public Health, schools with SBHCs saw a 21% increase in graduation rates compared to schools without them. From the Journal of Adolescent Health, SBHC users are 50% less likely to drop out of high school. From Mental Health America, students receiving mental health services at SBHCs report 30% improvement in depression and anxiety symptoms. From Pediatric Journal, SBHCs can reduce ER visits by 33%, especially for chronic issues like asthma. Some from outside the community seek to stop the school-based health clinic. These people have never stepped foot in our schools and have no idea what our students need. They have tried to misrepresent zoning regulations. They try to capitalize on fears that the clinic will provide gender-affirming care and that its main purpose will be transitioning children. They try to spread stories about baggies of drugs being given to students without parent consent. They try to say it will cost taxpayers money. So let's be clear. The zoning permits it. It operates under the same exact parental consent regulations as any other doctor's office in the state of Maine. It will be funded by grants and then by its own operations, just like any other doctor's office. Gender affirming care is not one of the services it will provide, and all prescriptions will have to be picked up and paid for at a pharmacy, as in any other doctor's office. I would like to thank the board for taking the time to allow the community to become informed about the health clinic. Thank you for providing the community public forum and including the center on several agendas.
10
Thank
seconds.
you for taking the time to review the MOI and ensuring compliance with the school insurance. I'm asking that board members consider these statistics and facts and vote in support of the health clinic.
Thank you for your comment. I have somebody else here, but I just want to do a quick time check. We said 20 minutes for a public comment. We've taken several breaks.
5 left,
We
sir.
have 5 left. So we'll continue until we get to that point, and then we'll
Okay, I'll let you know.
see where we go. Nora Diversi.
Hi, my name is Nora Diversi. I live in West Gardner. I work at the high school as a school nurse, and I have a student that will be graduating. So 2 more days, I'll be no longer a parent of the district. I want to take my time tonight to express my gratitude. I am grateful to the school district, its teachers, its staff, and to this community. I can't begin to tell you how many times I have been over the years, how lucky we are to have raised our children here. From the Peter Pan fairs to the reindeer visits at HT, Girl Scouts, Miss Stackpole used to let us in to HT at night, Memorial Day parades, endless weekends of travel basketball, Friday night football games, hours spent watching lacrosse and soccer at Hope Field, which, by the way, the turf field is amazing, love it. The school system has been the pillar of my family's community. There's always been a friendly face, there's always been parents and community members there to cheer my kids on. This past week, 2 weeks has been no exception. From the senior nights with Munzing Medium there to celebrate our senior athletes, to the baccalaureate this Sunday, offering the blessing to our seniors. Class day this morning where thousands of dollars of scholarships, local scholarships was given out to our graduates. It was amazing. Yesterday, the kids marched in through their elementary schools and our students were beaming with pride and they were cheered and clapped. It's amazing. I'm happy to report that my senior is graduating with 15 college credits, that she can read, she can write, and she can do math. She'll be going on to college. No doubt this wouldn't be possible.
10 seconds.
Without the dedication of the staff and the teachers in this district. 16 years, end of an era, a beautiful partnership, and for that, I thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Aerial sides.
Good evening, I am Ariel Sides. I am from Randolph, and tonight I want to take this opportunity to make a sincere and public apology to a certain member on this board. I'm sorry that I made a Star Wars reference in regards to your weight. It was not my intention to hurt your feelings.
Who are you talking to?
I know I'm saying this. He said that, so I'm gonna honor it.
Okay.
My intention was
Point of
simply to
order.
shed light.
It's still very obvious who she's talking to. I don't wish to hear her apology. If she wants to do it privately, that doesn't matter. But publicly, this is inappropriate.
And
Point of order.
My First Amendment right. He's got a sign that says F censorship.
If we could move on.
Sure. My intention was simply to.
Point of order.
I meant move on from the apology piece. Is there more?
Oh, he's private. He's private.
How's she supposed
Point
to
of
apologize
order.
when she's blocked her?
I need to just have this clarification here. So, yeah, there's a free speech.
Oh, so whoever, no, point of order. So earlier today, people were talking about Becky and saying, calling for Becky's resignation, and you squashed that. And I'm telling you,
Using
point of
names.
order,
We're not
well,
using
it is,
names.
it is very obvious who she's talking to. So she should not be allowed if Becky was not.
She's not using names.
She didn't finish speaking.
But
I have
she's
no
also
idea who
very
she's
pointed.
talking to, Michelle. I have no idea who
We all
she's
know
talking
now.
to.
Oh, no, you do. She looked right at me and said, and it was very, body language is 80% of communication, is it not?
So she is gonna continue speaking right now.
My intention was simply to shed light on the hypocrisy of you sitting here playing victim after just last week shaking the hand of a man who used his social media platform to compare a 15-year-old girl, a student in our district who you are supposed to represent, to the Michelin Man. And to you going on Alvin Louis' podcast after he's called some of your constituents, quote, 350-pound tubs of lard. Doesn't feel good, does it? I'm sorry that you felt
Point
like
of order.
correcting.
This is bullying. There is a bullying statute. This is, I mean, Joanne brings up the bullying statute all the time. So point of order, this is now becoming bullying. And I ask you as the acting chair tonight to stop her speech at this moment.
No,
So you are endorsing bullying.
this is not
I think
bullying.
it's a First Amendment issue.
No, this is a bullying issue.
So
There is actually.
I'm gonna have her continue this.
So it went from an apology to accusations.
Right, there is no
Once
intention of
again, bullying.
apology.
Okay.
There is an act of bullying.
You erased the apology when you start attacking her again.
So-
Shame on
We need
you.
to clear the room.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna declare another recess. We're gonna take just 1 minute. I think we can do it. I really appreciate that everybody's taken a moment to bring us back in. All right, thank you. We're back in to public comment after that break. I'm weighing out the, complexity of a First Amendment freedom of speech component with there's some targeted language there, and there's been targeted language tonight. And I would really like to encourage all of us to look for ways to advance the ideas we want to see and not engage in the ad hominem attacks, right? The personal attacks. I would still like the audience to remain quiet while one person is speaking.
Excuse me, Tony.
Yeah, and actually just checking on our, everybody's seen this out there. This is our welcome to our board meeting. It's got our the text on the back of that booklet of the public speaking policy. One of those components is to please to refrain from using vulgar or obscene language, and we've talked about that, as well as making defamatory comments, right? So we're making every effort not to target people. I recognize that there is a First Amendment freedom of speech component to using a range of language and to express concerns. I guess what I would like to put to you, Ms. Sides, is there a way to bring this forward without using defamatory or accusatory
Well,
or defamatory
defamation
language?
is only defamation if it's not true, correct?
So
Just to clarify, because
I just want to stay away from, let's look at statements or behaviors rather than comparisons and descriptions.
okay, that was, I think that was the only, maybe the only part like that.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
all right, and
Molly had a comment for you.
I just wanted to remind you that all comments are supposed to be made to the chair and directed to the
thank you,
chair.
yes, yeah,
That's
directed.
everything.
Okay. That's fine, Mr. Chair. I am sorry that I said one of your board members was a DEI hire because they were a woman. I should not have assumed their gender. It was presumptuous of me and I apologize. I will
Point of
be more
order.
cognizant in the future.
This is abusive. Point of order. I would like you to direct Ms. Sides to step away from the podium. And if not, I will be bringing a lawsuit against this board for the bullying, persistent bullying over the past 6 months.
So one of the things about.
blasted her on the internet 6 hours ago.
The group, the group.
I provided a screenshot of her own words, and that's a problem.
Still not on
apparently.
you.
I want to address like that some of the description isn't moving in the right direction, to keep it as a description of behavior or statements. I hear your concern. We do have some exposure as elected officials that we
Right.
don't.
This has crossed the line into bullying. This is not a First Amendment issue anymore. This is bullying.
I have a point of
So-
order. Michelle sent an email today that said that Ariel was a crazy person, and I don't think that's okay.
Deranged, I think.
That's
All
not
right,
okay.
hang on.
I
All right.
can say
Here we go again.
We're gonna take
That's not
another
bullying.
recess. I'm gonna do. It's not public
Mr.
comment.
Chair, before the recess,
I'm
can I
gonna
ask a
do
question?
2 minutes.
It's not gonna be anything smart, it's a serious question. Is public comment supposed to be about the issues on the agenda? Are we not?
About anything.
Speaking about issues on the agenda?
It's, as I read when we started,
Yeah, maybe you should read the policy.
it
I think the board needs lots of.
is about what's on the agenda or related to the operations and programs of the school. Thank you for letting me check the language there.
The second point of order.
Operations and programs of the school.
The second point of order, Emma Doxey has been persistently interrupting and not following board policy. I would like you to direct her to leave as you directed that other gentleman to leave.
I agree. If Mr.
So-
Viet
So
asks me, I will stop. This gentleman was asked several times.
I am asking you to stop.
Okay, yes,
I
I
would
will,
like
absolutely.
the group to be quiet.
I promise this is
You wanna
relevant to
finish,
what
you wanna
you
finish
just
answering,
described.
so by the definition you were reading,
Yeah.
so it's about school policy or,
It's the agenda and programs and services at the school.
so none of that has anything to do with that, that's what I'm saying.
It does.
But the board is part of the district.
Okay.
Audio ready?
This is relevant to.
All right, Terry, you ready?
It's on.
Oh, sorry, we are there, yeah. Right. So. So we're gonna resume public commentary. I do want to be mindful that this is obviously taking time away, as we get into the other work of the board. I want to make sure we get as many people heard as we can. We are running well past our policy of 20 minutes, and I want to be mindful of that. Ms. Sides, if you have more, I would want to hear that, but if it's defamatory, I'm going to ask you to step aside from the podium. So do you have comments that are not directed or defamatory about any board member?
I think that this is relevant to the board of the whole, if I was just allowed to.
Yeah.
I can edit some of it here and there, but I think it's relevant.
Is it going to be directed at any one board member?
It is, but I think
Yeah.
it's appropriate because this is affecting the entire function of the board.
So, and if I could, Ms. Garrett, if I could have everybody in the audience, please be quiet while the person at the podium is talking. I'd like to encourage that for the
I'm so-
board
I'm
as well.
sorry,
I'm
Tony.
telling,
I was not allowed to ask for Becky's
Ter-
resignation. I could
Ter-
not, I could
Terry,
not speak.
Terry, thank you, I'm taking.
I promise it's relevant.
Please, if it's something that can be directed to the whole board, I would like that. About a policy or program or operation here, again.
Is the board not part of all of those
Well,
things?
yes, we are part of that.
I feel like this is covered under the policy you just read, but I'm happy to
Okay.
address, I can address it to you. I mean, I didn't expect this to be such an issue because I didn't say anyone's name.
You have 1 minute and 2 seconds left. I'm wondering if it's written, if she would submit her
Oh,
written
thank you,
testimony,
yeah.
because that is part of
Yeah.
what we do. So if you would, if you would like to do that, then we can move along.
I would be happy to do that for portions of it, but I would really like to continue with these 2 paragraphs here that are the most relevant. That's okay.
Is there anything defamatory in those?
Again, I think our definitions of defamation are different things,
Point
right?
of
Like,
order, you are establishing a boundary, Tony, and she is flagrantly violating your boundary, wanting to defend her right to insult me. Please direct her to leave if she has nothing appropriate to say within the boundaries that you are clearly setting out in a professional and appropriate manner.
Thank you for your point.
I feel like the
If
things
you're-
that I have said are within policy that you just read.
Well, it got into the defamatory side of it, even though you didn't use a name, and I appreciate that. Can you speak about something else for?
I would just like to say then that I would just like to bring it to the board's attention at large then that a certain board member has been.
Point of order?
Yeah.
I would like to get to the point where I talk about my FOA request that's public and contains loads of evidence and information. That's
Point of
really
order.
what I'm trying to get to, and then
How are we
I would like
doing?
to wrap this up.
5 seconds.
You can do your FOA.
Okay, sure. I'll just read that paragraph and then the closing, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay,
If there's nothing defamatory.
it's really just an apology, but I'm sorry that I exposed your dishonesty and cheating in the
But
election.
point of order, point of order.
Don't yell at me.
Yeah.
Excuse me, point of order.
So Michelle, hang on one second. Ms. Sides, I'm gonna ask you to stop there unless is there more about the FOA that without using defamatory language?
It's all relevant
So-
to the election. There is evidence
Point of order.
that was made public in a
No,
FOA
point of
request
order, point of order.
regarding the cheating in the election. And I think
She
that's
is being
relevant to the
defamatory.
entire board.
No, she is being defamatory. She's accusing me of election
There are affidavits.
cheating, and there's not.
Turned over to the Attorney General.
So-
Point of
Time-
order,
This is
please
not
ask her to
defamation.
leave.
Your time is up. Thank you for your comments.
Wow, there you go.
No, not gonna have applause, please.
You asked Emma to stop and she just applauded. Please ask her to leave as well. Point of order.
No, that was a rule you couldn't applaud.
There was a rule set forth in the beginning of the meeting that there is to be no audience participation by
So-
applauding or anything, but he asked you already to stop
So
your
we've
behavior.
already.
No need, Michelle, don't you worry, Michelle, I will leave. If it's so upsetting to you and your fragile little ego.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe you can hold hands even, I'm just gonna do this is easier. I wish you all the best summer.
By the ringleader of
Stepping
Except for
away.
you.
Thank you for stepping away.
Especially you.
The ringleader.
God bless you. I
Every
hope you
time
have a
somebody comes
wonderful
in
summer.
there,
Not
I
real.
feel uncomfortable, I feel unsafe, he's got a sign, I'm ringleader of fragility.
So I think we're at 20 minutes
Done.
of our public commentary.
Yes, sir.
We do have several more names on the list.
I make a motion to allow those 7 names to continue.
He said several.
Several, yes.
Several, I'm sorry. Then I would make a motion to allow an additional 20 minutes to accommodate anyone else who wishes to exercise their First Amendment right.
A second. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the board?
Are they from Gardner or?
It's a mix. Yeah, good question. So just to be clear, yeah, we,
From the district.
yeah, yep, Gardner, West Gardner, Pittston, Randolph. Yeah. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 names. Let's see, all in favor, if there's no other discussion, all in favor of extending public commentary?
One question.
Oh,
Are we gonna restrict this to just members of this MSAD?
We have to follow policy.
We're gonna follow our policy, which we've
Yeah.
been doing, which is.
Michelle's order said 20 minutes, or motion,
Yeah.
excuse me, right? You said
I
20
did, I
minutes.
said 20 minutes.
So.
So, if there's, oh
I'd
yeah,
like to amend that motion
um,
to 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. Yeah, so that would be a friendly amendment, so
Yeah.
to speak.
I don't wish to amend because it is really important for members of our community to have a voice. And so I would like for everyone who wishes to be heard in our community to be able to be heard. So
So the 20, so that's where we're at. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of 20 more minutes?
Get it done, okay. I'm sure it passes.
I'm sure it does. I just want to make sure
And it's,
that I get it right.
I know.
So I only have 2. Happy to do that?
I did. I voted in favor.
Yeah.
Did you know you voted in favor?
Okay, 6 o'clock.
All right, so I just have 2 that voted against, so that passes 10,253 to 2,481.
Tracy, if you would reset.
Yep.
Block, do it. So we'll return to the public commentary. Ward Boudreau.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ward Boudreau. I am a Gardner resident. My wife teaches in the district. I know many of you. I'm really nervous up here, but this whole thing that we're going through here, I really would like to see it come to a vote. Let the board actually vote. It feels like there's been a lot of discussion round and round where it's gotten negative. Right? And I really think it's time for you guys to really speak, let your vote, you know? I think the clinic is a wonderful thing. I am a teacher, and I've seen my fair share of neglect. Real neglect from parents in this community. This clinic is to fill that void. Our responsibility is to those kids. And I think it's shameful that we have not done it. Shameful. We need to speak for the silent, the neglected. I mean, I am so mad. Thank you.
Victoria Tracy.
Good evening, my name is Victoria Tracy. I'm an incoming junior at Gardner Area High School and I live in Randolph. I'm here tonight not because of my mother. She actually told me she preferred that I sit this meeting out, anticipating the actions of some audience members. But I will not be intimidated into silence. It's my turn to talk and I hope all of you are listening. I'm here again to show both the board and the community that student voice matters. Students need support, students need guidance, and students need to feel safe. Right now, although many board members are doing the right things, the hurtful actions of some board members have been seen by students. And quite honestly, it saddens me to see not only myself, but other students disappointed by our school board. I am not angry because some members have become buddy-buddy with online hate groups that have posted many things about me, although it wasn't the best thing to see. I'm angry because their actions are not only affecting me, they are affecting the whole student body. All board members have a job, and that is to do what is best for students. Spitting hate from behind a screen and promoting those who make it their personal mission to target me and other members of the community and the school board is not helpful to not helping students, it is hurting them. If you are not for all students, then you cannot fulfill your job as a school board member. This is my school district. I've been here since day one of kindergarten. Outside ideas, morals cannot and will not tear down the strong community that is not only supporting me, but every other student that is a part of MSAD11. Gardner is a place of tradition, and no matter how hard you try, it can't be stopped. However, tonight I am choosing to end not on a sour note, but with a thank you. A thank you to the retiring faculty and graduating students. Thank you, Mrs. Hopkins, for showing me what it means to be a strong leader and gracefully handle rambunctious situations. Thank you to my amazing advisor, Mrs. Morris, aka P Money, who always tolerated my complaints about school. I will really miss you next year. And thank you, Sage Scully, who not only taught me how to be a strong woman, but a student leader who knows how to stand for what is right. Thank you.
Letta Dickin.
Oh, really? Really? That's definitely not a real name.
That's point of order. That's inappropriate.
Sorry, right, that is
Yeah.
not your name, is it?
I hope not. No.
He has free speech.
Point of order, board policy requires that a person gets up to the podium and states their real name and their residence. And so if this gentleman is not willing to state his real name and
sincerely
gender,
believe my name is Letta Dickin.
I would ask you to please direct this gentleman to leave the podium.
So. Elizabeth Nicola. Where do you reside?
Augusta.
Okay. So I'm gonna move you to the bottom of the list. It says Gardner here, and sounds like it's not accurate.
Okay.
All right, Fred Merrill.
Fred Merrill, 64 Heatley Road, West Gardner. Boy. Interested in getting weird here. A little careful. I guess I'm just a simple guy. I'm here for children. For us to do the best we can for them. I do think a health clinic would help. I trust the people that work here. And I've been here for few years now. Hope to be here for a few more. I'm sorry the board is going through this. It must be terribly difficult for you. I understand that. But you really should try to just pull it together. It's difficult to work with people. Just believe in your own good people that care about children. If you're not, don't be here. You know, try to do the job and look at what you're supposed to be doing. You know, nobody expects you to hold hands, but we do expect you to stand up and be good people. You're supposed to be watching out for the school district. You're not supposed to be squabbling with each other. So just please stand up and help the kids that you're here to help. That's all people ask. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Matt Lillibridge.
Stopwatch. Matt Lillibridge, West Gardner. I'm here to talk about lies. Those from outside the district that push them via social media. Those of some people in this room that promote those lies. And those who try to bully and harass those who might not agree with those lies. Most of those liars don't live here. The liars attack minors. How courageous of you. Cowardice seems to be a habit amongst the liars who bloviate online. Most of the liars don't pay taxes here either. The school-based health centers for the kids and the parents in this district is for those who can't afford the time or the funds for an urgent care visit because they got to work maybe 2 or 3 jobs. The liars don't care about them. Go stir the pot somewhere else. Liars aren't welcome here. They try to scare with lies. They try to intimidate with distorting facts. They try to push the liar's agenda on other people. Yet you guys, the liars, are the ones preaching freedom. Liars are hypocrites, and I trust the real parents, the parents who make up some of this school board, and the ones who support all the kids of MSAD11. Not all the liars who have a minor, tiny audience of closed-minded online sheep. I'm a real soldier, not a so-called commie slayer. I commanded men in combat multiple times. I'm also a sheepdog. And it's times like this when the flock needs protection from liars, from the ignorant and evil wolves from beyond our district. The yes vote on the school-based health center will send these people scurrying away, like the liars and cowards that they are.
10 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Christine Holzinger.
My name is Christine Holzinger. I'm a resident of Pittston. I'm a mother and a grandmother, taxpayer. And I apologize, I didn't really prepare something to speak for 2 minutes. But I did want to offer my thanks and support to the board members that are standing up for parental rights. I don't like to see this kind of division. I think our board and our parents have reached a point where they can't talk to each other. And it really troubled me that we're in that place. I don't like to see the way that you're treated here, because I think all of you are here for our children. But I urge you to remember that you're here for the parents as well. The trust that used to exist between parents and school seems to be broken. And I'm not sure how you repair that, but I'd really like to see this board focused on trying to make that happen. And I think in that vein, I urge you to come up with a policy for this. If you're going to have a school-based health center, I'm not sure that's the real controversy. I think the real controversy is communication with parents. And if you can't have a policy that assures parents that they are going to be part of this process, that they're going to be always informed about what's going on with their children, then you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Deborah Susie, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Clark Susie. I'm a proud Gardner High graduate, a former tri-captain of the 1975 Girls State Championship basketball team, and a 38-year educator who teaches, directs, and coaches. 3 years ago, I moved back to Gardner to live in my home, built by my grandfather where I grew up. Tonight, I'm here to urge all of you to support Gardner's school-based health clinic, not just as a policy, but as a healthy educational opportunity and as a promise that MSAD11 sees the whole student, understands that children can't learn if they're sick, hurting, or unable to access care. Though I live in Gardner, I work at Maine Central Institute, a town academy serving international and local students. Because many of our students live far away from their families, we act in loco parentis. We are their guardians, and as a result, MCI has a small health clinic and a school nurse available, luckily 24/7. Students aren't just sent home with a note when they're sick, they're seen, they're cared for, they're often returned to class that same day. That's not just good for health, that is good and smart for learning. In rural communities like SAD 53 and MCI, access to medical care is limited. Our clinic helps manage chronic illnesses such as asthma, addresses urgent needs like toothaches, ear infections, reduces emergency room visits. I've even had parents thank me directly because sending their child to the clinic meant they didn't have to leave work, risk their job, or lose a paycheck. This is also about equity. Yeah, I know it's a highly politicized word. Nowadays, I'm popular on all fronts. But for me, equity means making sure every student, no matter whether they are a family that lives across the seas or here, whether they have insurance or not, whether they live down the block or across town, they have access to health care. All of our students deserve the chance to feel well and grow up, show that they're ready to learn. As more rural health facilities across Maine close school-based clinics.
10 seconds.
Thank you. I just hope that Gardner residents can look beyond politics and toward the promise we make every student who walks in our halls by creating a positive environment.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you for your comment. I have Emma Doxey here. I think she has departed, left the building. So Justin, facing her.
Hi, I'm Justin from Pittston. I spent my public school career in this district. I have daughters that are in this district as well. Firstly, I'd like to thank the school board members that have been working incredibly hard for our kids. Professionalism far exceeds my own. You've done it in the face of endless attacks, pointless clerical requests, circuses and meetings, and many other variables. I understand today is the vote for the school-based health center, and I think our community deserves this help for our kids. Everyone's kid requires healthcare, and just finding a way when this is available to us is the most out-of-touch thing I've ever heard. So many silly arguments encumber this issue, from zoning rules to thinking that children are going to be forcefully shoved into gender-affirming care. People are saying that they're going to force gender reassignment surgery on kids. They're going to groom your kid to change gender. You know how ridiculous that sounds? These teachers are struggling to get the kids the resources they need to just have a baseline for learning at all. You think they have time to force your kid to transition? It's laughable. And the people pushing it are a joke. The collateral damage of this is also absolutely blows my mind. The online live streams where filthy small men try and crack jokes and justify why it's all right to make fun of and attack a 15-year-old girl because she's defending herself at this podium. They continue harassing and lying about school board members, calling people child mutilators. Again, laughably stupid. Please vote yes for this health center. It's going to help the kids that need it most, and that is what's the most important. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Tom Arnett.
Good evening. My name is Tom Barnett. I live in Gardner. I've been here over 30 years. We put both of our kids through MSAD11 and from K through 12. They're both doing wonderfully. Thank you. I also want to thank you for your service as board members, all of you. It does not go unnoticed. It's very difficult in this climate. I'm going to age myself a little bit here. About 60 years ago, I was in the 6th grade. I don't remember a lot that I learned in the 6th grade, but I do want to talk about two things that I heard. The first was that common sense isn't very common. And sadly, that's been on display quite a bit this evening. Common sense says that healthier kids do better in schools. Common sense says healthcare available to all helps every single person. Common sense tells us that not every family can take time out of their day and the 1 or 2 or 3 jobs they're working to get their son and daughter a physical so that they can play a sport and engage in social activities with their classmates. You have a clinic in a school, they can do that. Every student can do that, not just the students who have the parents who can take the time off from work, who have private insurance. It would cover everybody. Common sense tells me, and I hope it tells you, and you demonstrate common sense, that this is a no-brainer. The other thing that I remember from the 6th grade was don't complicate the simple. This is simple. And when you're making your decision, block out the noise. Listen to the facts that Ms. Scully cited tonight. Study after study after study
10 seconds.
About how healthy kids do in school. You have the power tonight in your hands to make that dream of healthcare to every student in MSAD11 a reality, and I ask you to support that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment.
2 minutes, 41 seconds.
One more person, and I have Riley Anderson.
All right, so my name is Riley Anderson. I do live in Gardner. I'm a homeowner in Gardner. And thank you for letting me speak. I have a million different things to say and absolutely no notes. But apparently last December 5th, 2024, I actually wrote a letter to the school board. And at that point, I know there were some people that weren't here and you were no longer reading them out loud at the meetings like we used to. So it very briefly just asked at that time to please vote yes for the school-based health center. And my opinion on that hasn't changed. I'd like to ask you tonight to vote yes for it. And that being said, which is basically my only point that I want to make today, the only other thing was that I'm going to leave after I speak, and I noted that some of the board members, like are bothered by that we come and we speak and then we leave for the rest of the meeting. And I just wanted to apologize and say that I would go home, I put my kids to bed, and I watch the meeting after all said and done, because that part is obviously recorded, and being in person for the in-person portion is necessary. So the last thing I will say before my time is up is just that as a parent, I'm actually almost complaining of being inundated by information from my school. I have a kid that just graduated 5th grade, is going into middle school, and one at LER, and it is papers and emails and updates, and my phone goes off, and my app and my Seesaw and my MSAD stream, and which told me to, that this item was on the agenda today. It's just and emails beyond, not to mention being there several times in the past few weeks, past few years. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
14 seconds.
Okay. I'm going to close the public commentary piece at this time. I appreciate everybody's participation and working through this. I know that took a minute, and I appreciate that when we took a recess, people largely reset together, and so I look for more of that. Our next agenda item is the computation and declaration of votes dated June 10th, 2025.
I make a motion. I move the warrant for assessment of tax and the assessment schedule and notice of installments for each member of municipality prepared by the treasurer for fiscal year July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026 be approved and be issued in form presented to this meeting. That the treasurer be authorized and directed to deliver to each member of municipality its warrant for assessment of tax and its assessment schedule and notice of installments.
Melissa, that's the wrong vote.
The other one?
Please, I'm sorry, thank you.
So good. I was so good. You could have interrupted me.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Redo that motion.
It's all good.
He's always.
Yep. So the one that says, oh, isn't this, oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, voted that the computation and declaration of votes dated June 12, 2025 and attached hereto be approved. Further voted that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of Maine School Administrative District number 11. Further voted that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal clerks of the member municipalities within the Maine School Administrative District number 11, a true copy as adopted by the majority of the school board attest.
Thank you. We have a motion and we have a second from Director Caputo. Any discussion among the board? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Okay. And any opposed? Oh.
The question, the date differs from.
The date, what was the date of vote was the 10th?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, it's dated for today.
Got
That's
you.
when
The day we declare is today, but the vote is the 10th.
of the referendum.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
So any opposed? Right, we're that far into it, so I think that was unanimous. Awesome. Thank you for that. We then have nominations.
Just as written, we're looking at Abby Weston, hiring her as a high school I'm sorry?
You need to do the other half.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Tony.
Thank you for walking me through that.
I'm sorry.
We then need to do.
I already read it once, somebody else can.
Item 2.
So is that also a motion?
Yes, but I already read.
Yeah.
I second that one too.
Second
Thank
from Linda. So my apologies for the confusion there. Any discussion on this part 2 of the computation to declaration of votes? This is now to approve the assessment warrants and installment schedules. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right,
Tom,
any of,
before you move on, can you just make sure that everyone has signed those so that I can deliver them tomorrow?
and in fact, I have not,
I haven't either.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so thank you.
We'll do it.
We'll do that.
We'll do it before we leave.
Yeah, promise. Thank you. And just to clarify, any no vote?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry,
That's all right. Are we good to move on to the next one?
you are.
We covered the budget. Nice.
Just want to make sure we get everything before we leave.
Yep, thank you. So then Superintendent will move to nominations. If you could.
Yes, we have Abigail Weston for social worker and special ed. She would cover the middle school and the Thompson School. Jessica Goffner, who will be a kindergarten teacher at Pittston Randolph Consolidated School. We have Josh Farr. We overlooked him previously when we brought administrators. Adele Ed for a one-year contract. And Daniel Wiley, special ed teacher who will specialize in English at the high school.
We need a motion on this, correct?
Yes.
I move to accept the nominations as written.
And a second from Molly. All right, any further discussion about this? All in favor? All right, opposed? All right. That was unanimous. So now the next item is an executive session to meet with legal counsel regarding the school-based health clinic memorandum of agreement.
So moved under.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Good check. All right. Did you get that? Okay, so to the audience, yes, we need to step out for the executive Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. So we are back from our executive session during this special school board meeting on June 12th. We are now at the agenda item, discussion and consideration to approve a school-based health clinic in MSAD11.
I move to table this motion. We were only given this 11-page document at the beginning of executive session. We have not had the opportunity to responsibly read and evaluate. So I make a motion to table this until such a time as we can execute our responsibilities appropriately.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Amend your motion to include discussion this evening.
I'm sorry?
Wait a minute, you cannot discuss the table issue. You can only vote.
Thank
So you can't discuss and then vote later is what you're saying.
You can't discuss it at all. You can only
Yeah.
vote.
That makes sense.
All right, all in favor of tabling this discussion? Sorry, Pat, are you? Hey, hold on one sec.
Just a second.
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I have it. So Sean, Jeff, Janelle, Barry, and Michelle. Anyone else? Okay. Got it.
I was in favor of tabling the motion, all opposed.
And Tony, so that's 5 and 7, right? Got it? Not missing anyone. I actually feel like I'm missing someone. Good. All right, so that fails 4,779 to 7,955.
I would like to make another motion to table this motion in light of the fact that the parents in the district are asking for a public forum. So I would like to table this motion until such a time as a public forum can be held, sponsored by the MSAD11 district, not by a sales pitch.
1 second, please. I still have to write down who voted against. To hold a public hearing.
Yes, I would like to table this motion until such a time as we can schedule a public hearing for the residents and community to come, as has been requested multiple times through our MSAD11 emails.
There's a motion to table.
Yeah.
So second, okay, second, Barry. All right, all in favor of tabling the motion pending a public discussion.
Right. Right, looks like the same vote as before, so Sean. Jeff, Sean. Okay.
I'd like to entertain a motion.
All opposed, sorry, to table the
opposed.
motion.
Yep.
So again, that motion fails 4,779 to 7,955.
Director Tracy.
Yes, I was going to put forth a motion that we approve the school-based health center.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on approving the school-based health center.
Yes, I still have some questions I'd like to present
Yeah.
to the people that represent this
We're
organization.
going through motion, so this is my motion.
Yeah, so because it's just it's a regular motion, he has the right to ask.
Yep, that's fine.
It's discussion. It's just the question. Yeah.
On page 1, do you have a copy of this? You're the representative.
I didn't bring it with me, I had seen it.
Would you like one?
Sure.
Yeah, it might help if you had something in front of you that you could.
I can,
I have
Tony and I can share, and you may have
limited
mine share.
questions for you. On page 1, in the whereas, I think it's the 5th one down, it talks about the federal anti-kickback statute does not apply to this relationship. Does that mean that your organization can engage in a kickback program that's kind of where you might make money by referring patients to another outside agency or a pharmacy? Is that your understanding that
Yeah, we don't make money by referring patients to an outside entity. You know, when we provide care for patients, we refer to, you know, a range of local hospitals or other, you know, specialty offices. We do, you know, our clinicians do prescribe medications, but the patient is able to take that medication to any pharmacy that they so choose.
I mean, this this agreement is written in such a way that you would be allowed to do such a thing because it says you're exempt from it. Unless I'm reading it wrong.
That wasn't what Alex said.
Yeah, I'm reading it differently, that it's saying that it is the understanding of the parties that it just doesn't apply to the relationship here, but that if it is found to apply, the parties intend to comply with any applicable requirements.
It's kind of a ambiguous statement. It's big enough to drive a truck. But I'll have to leave it at that. I have 2 other questions, if I may.
Yeah, this is the time.
Thank you. Yeah, on page 9, Schedule A, paragraph D, the very last sentence, and I'll just read the last part of it. It says, but not limited to those related to minors consenting to treatment. Is that written correctly? Can a minor consent to treatment, or does a minor have to have parental consent?
Most of the time, minors require parental consent, but in Maine, there's a law that allows minors with decisional capacity to consent for treatment in very limited circumstances for substance use disorder services, for mental health services, and for reproductive services. And that's what that's referring to.
So, but I mean, does this exclude the parents' consent by this wording?
Potentially for those services, if a minor seeks those and has decisional capacity. In all other aspects, there is parental consent for care.
And those services could be up to and including birth control, maybe
That would be
abortion,
considered-
counseling for it.
That birth control would be considered a reproductive service, so potentially, yes.
And that would be only, it would only need the child's consent, a minor's consent.
If the minor has decisional capacity in the judgment of the clinician, yes.
That was my next question. Who makes that decision? Is there a title attached to it?
Well, it would be the medical clinician would make that decision upon interviewing the minor.
But a clinic doesn't make a decision, a human being does, so.
Yes.
So what's the title?
Well, depending on the clinician's licensure that we hire, it could be a nurse practitioner.
Would it be simply
physician
one person or
assistant.
would it be a combination of decisions?
No, it would be one person. The person rendering the care would make that
Do they
decision.
have a criteria or checklist of questions they go through to make that determination?
I don't know if there's a formal checklist, but they, use their professional judgment to make that decision.
That can be wildly all over the place. There's no standard discussion of questions that would bring you to the conclusion that this child is mentally competent to make decisions for themselves?
I don't believe there's a standard in the regulation itself. I know the clinician would interview the minor and make a decision based on that interview with the minor.
I find that very troubling.
Our goal is always to involve parents if that is possible.
I have one final question. On page 10, item I, and schedule A again. And it says that the HRCHC will obtain parental consent before rendering services to a minor student, which kind of contradicts the earlier statement. Will that be, what's the mechanics of that? Do you contact the parent before you provide every service? Or do you get a one-time blanket consent?
At the beginning of the school year, we send home documentation that allows the parent to consent to treatment. So some parents opt for that. They sign that paperwork and return it to us, so we know we have the ability to treat their student. If something comes up in the middle of the day for a student who doesn't have consent, say they need to be tested for the flu, we then reach out to the parent and get consent for that test. And if the parent doesn't consent, then we don't perform it.
That would include like an aspirin, a Band-Aid? Any treatment at all?
That would be rendered, I think, by your school nurse if someone needed a Band-Aid. That wouldn't be a service that our health center would render, because we're not replacing the school nurse. So you know, the things that are typically covered, a Band-Aid or something like that, would be rendered by the school nurse.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Yeah.
I have a clarifying issue. I'm wondering, the age of consent in the state of Maine, as I understand it, is 16 for, like, you could go into your doctor's office. And if I'm wrong with the year, just hear my question.
Sure.
I'm wondering if a student could go anywhere and get the same care.
They could, but minors can consent to other types of treatment after age 18.
Yes. Yes,
Except for those 3 services that I mentioned. But yes, that's true of any office in the state of Maine that offers primary care services. It's a law in the state of Maine.
That's where I was headed. So they could go to urgent care or convergent care, whatever. You know, doc on a block.
And even at your own pediatrician,
And
there's
even
a
at your
certain
own.
level of privacy at the age of 13 that is offered for children. So I mean, parents are only allowed so much control over their individual children as people.
Actually, that's untrue. I had a 13-year-old. I was asked to leave the doctor's office. I said no, because she was my child.
Fine, you can do that, but I'm just saying that is in place already.
There is a law in place that
Right,
they are following.
that's all I'm saying. Yes.
That's what I was trying to discern.
So is the age?
Sorry, hang on one second, Michelle. I'm so sorry. Did you have a question?
I did have some questions.
Michelle.
That's the big question. Do you provide gender affirming transgender care in the school district?
We would not perform hormonal therapy for a gender affirming hormone therapy would not be a service we'd offer at the school-based health center.
Do you provide counseling and social transitioning as part of gender identity, gender affirming care through these clinics?
Through the school-based health center
Yes.
specifically, or our organization?
Your organization and the school-based health centers.
Our organization does provide that care to patients who want that care, mostly, adult patients mostly, but yes.
Okay. I have seen your advertisements saying that you would offer it to minors. So will you be offering gender identity care, social conversion, whatever? Will you be offering that in this school district?
I said we would not offer gender affirming hormone therapy here at the school.
Right. Any therapy, any sort of affirmation, any chest binders, any tucks, anything other than hormone therapy, any other part of transgender care?
Point of order,
Would
I
you
just-
find that?
Can I say, wouldn't those things
Let-
be?
Let's let her finish the
Okay,
question.
yeah.
My question is simple. Will you be providing those services?
If a student had like wanted counseling with that, we probably would support the health needs of the population.
And you're still skirting my question. Would you be providing external things like chest binders? Would you be providing tools to help facilitate a transition other than hormone therapy?
I don't think we would be doing that.
Can you put that in a contract?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think, our goal is to support everyone who comes to us and the care that they desire while following all applicable laws and regulations. That is our goal.
And while I understand that goal, I also echo Jeff's sentiment that a minor child making decisions without parental notification, parental involvement is problematic. And it is problematic that one person, based on one or two interviews, from what you said at our meeting in December, would make a decisional capacity decision about a student and not involve their parents. That is problematic and it is borderline abusive.
So.
Point of order, we're talking about the
Yeah,
agreement and the motion.
I hear you, Janelle, you had.
I was just wondering, like, just to clarify that what age is considered a minor for the healthcare?
18. So less than 18 is considered a minor. So when someone turns 18, they're treated as an adult by the healthcare system.
So like Megan said, a 13-year-old can go to their doctor and get healthcare without parental permission. Would that?
I would still need to
Hang on.
sign consent to treat.
And not healthcare. I mean, ultimately, the parent decides there's certain circumstances, reproductive health,
So
substance use disorder, and mental health services. And again, there has to be decisional capacity. So it's not so much about their age as it is about their ability to make a decision to consent for treatment. But if someone came in and needed to be treated for diabetes, we would need parental consent to do so.
now, what kind of reproductive services or birth control or do you guys provide? Just prescriptions for birth control pills or?
It could be that, it could be sexually transmitted disease testing if that's needed. That's considered under the umbrella of reproductive health.
What about IUD?
That is a reproductive health.
Would that be done in the school?
It could, I don't know if it will be needed, but that would be considered a reproductive health service.
But then could also be done at a doctor's office without parent consent.
Correct.
So it's no different.
Again, with decisional capacity based stuff.
It is different because
Hang on
federal law
one second.
prevents
Hang on,
invasive procedures.
Michelle. I know you had a chance to speak. Janelle spoke.
I have just
Megan,
one more
oh,
question.
certainly.
About billing, if a student doesn't have any sort of insurance, they're going to get billed like a self-pay bill, whether it's a sliding fee scale or something, still gonna get a bill. Does that go to collections if it gets unpaid?
It would depend. If someone qualified for our affordable care program, which is our sliding fee discount program, we don't send the kind of the most financially disadvantaged qualifiers to collections. But if someone had the ability to pay and chose not to pay, then it could potentially go to collections.
Thank you. Megan, did you have something?
I think I'm just frustrated that we're talking about what potential students might be seeking for care, which would not be our business. And we understand that Health Reach would be providing care and we have this. Yeah, I wouldn't walk around, I don't know, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Molly, I see, Michelle.
I'm curious about the opting in at the beginning of the year. Is there an opportunity for parents to completely opt out?
Well, they just don't sign any consent forms or authorize us verbally with their consent.
And does a student have an opportunity to visit the clinic if that opt-out form has been signed?
Well, we don't have an opt-out form. It's just the absence of the consent to treat, a signed consent to treat.
Okay. Are we able to have an opt-out? Meaning that parents have essentially consented at the beginning of the year, one way or another. So that if there is an opt-out that has been signed, then parents feel as though there's.
That would be a don't treat my child,
Right.
right? That's what you're
Right,
saying, yeah.
and may I ask for clarification
Yes,
on Molly's question? So like at the beginning of the year, when you get all those papers that come home and you have to sign whether the nurse can do ibuprofen, Band-Aid, all the things.
Right.
Are you asking, can we have a form like that? So that when a student goes to the school-based health center, you will be able to look and see and say, yeah, you're a no.
Perhaps I'm confused with the process because I don't know if I can answer your question yet. Does a student go directly to the clinic or do they go to the school nurse and are then referred to the clinic?
They come from a variety of sources. Sometimes it's a parent who reaches out. A student may be injured in an athletic event and the parent reaches out and says, can the follow-up occur at the school-based health center? Sometimes another, school employee recognizes an issue, calls the parent, gets permission, and then the student comes to the school-based health center. And then for that limited subset of services, some students do come directly to the school-based health center for services. So it can be a variety of avenues.
Michelle, you would.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. First question, you're talking about reproductive health services. Do you provide the Depo-Provera shot?
We do.
What do you give a child prior to an IUD insertion?
I don't know what you're asking.
An IUD insertion is an invasive procedure. What sort of pain medication do you give a child who is coming to you asking for an IUD?
Point of order? I feel like that's a question for a physician.
Yeah, I'm not a clinician, but I believe most of the time there isn't any administration at the center for
Any pain medication?
But I'm not a clinician.
Okay, so
I
a
can't.
standard of care in a regular gynecologist office is to administer pain relief prior to insertion of an
That's
IUD. but
incorrect.
I'm
That's
gonna-
not true.
It's actually true.
Incorrect.
My next question
Point of
is.
order,
They
you're
literally
wrong.
just,
I literally just had one put in 3 months ago. No pain
just
med.
released
Let's let
study
Michelle
No, I'd like
finish.
to derail the meeting like she does.
Yeah.
Finish
Go
your
ahead, keep
question,
going.
please. Yeah, I hear you. Michelle.
Do you
please continue.
offer the Norplant implantation in the arm of a student?
At our health centers, we offer Nexplanon.
Okay, all right, I'm going to the contract on page 10. Item J. Upon the parties' mutual written agreement, HRCHC will provide general health education to school students or staff. Exactly what does that mean? Are you going into the classroom? Are you teaching? What does that mean in terms of this contract?
Yeah, it could mean that we're invited to offer an educational session in a health class. And an after-school club may say, can you come in and speak about X? I mean, it could be those types of things.
Okay, with or without parental permission?
We don't seek parental permission when we're coming in kind of as more of a guest speaker.
Okay. And lastly, what is your understanding of federal law that prohibits invasive procedures such as vaccines, IUDs, the arm implants. What is your understanding of being able to offer them on school property when federal law prohibits that?
If you would like to provide the reference to that, I'd be happy to investigate that, but I'm not aware of
Okay.
that being.
I'm certainly happy to, I didn't think I actually needed that tonight, but I am certainly happy to provide that reference. I will look for it in a moment while other people have their time to ask questions. But if I can't find it in my notebook, then I'm happy to email it to Pat, who will then send it to you. Okay? All right.
Because I'm
thank you.
not familiar with it.
Okay, I will look for it. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to clarify, I know we're talking about some pretty specific subsets of minors consenting. If a parent signs the form, whatever that form looks like, the student could then schedule with you or schedule through the school nurse to come in to do a sports physical or get a flu test or say some kind of strep swab.
Yes, and then the clinician would report to the parents after the service was rendered, kind of what the outcome was.
And that would be billed through insurance or sliding fee, maybe nothing, but insurance if it's available, yeah. And you take, which insurances do you take?
Pretty much all of them, main care, your commercial insurance lineup, Aetna, Harvard Pilgrim, Cigna.
Standard, yeah.
Yes, very standard.
All right, if somebody comes in and requests, if a minor comes in and requests treatment and has insurance there, their insurance could get billed. Is that?
I mean, the
Yeah.
parents have insurance covering the
Yeah.
student. Yes,
Yeah.
their insurance would be
So there would
billed.
be that, yeah.
Because that's kind of the financial model where there's no contribution from the school other than the in-kind contribution of, cleaning the space, having lights in the space. But the way we make it financially work is it's just like a health center inside the school where we bill appropriately for the services that are rendered.
Molly.
If a student is homesick but needs to see, do they go to school to be seen?
They can, sometimes that does happen, but we also offer telehealth services too. Mom and dad will call and just say, hey, can so-and-so get a prescription for this? The clinician may say, yes, but I want to see them. And they do a telehealth visit so the kid doesn't have to come in school sick.
I found that reference for whenever.
You found that reference? Is that the follow-up?
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
May I?
yeah, what's your reference? And Janelle will be right back to you.
Yeah.
Or-
Okay, so if we go to board policy, JLCA, it deals with physical examinations of the students, and there is a quote verbatim from federal law in our board policy, and that states that parent guardian consent shall be required for physical examinations if given by school physician under the auspices of a school. There's 3 paragraphs I'm gonna read. Parents and guardians of eligible students 18 years of age or older shall be notified annually, have the opportunity to opt out student out of any non-emergency invasive physical examination or screening. And it says, for the purpose of this policy, again, this is policy number, policy JLCA that's on our website. It says, for the purpose of this policy, invasive physical examination means any medical examination that involves the exposure of private body parts or any act during such examination that includes incision, insertion, or injection into the body, but does not include a hearing, vision, or scoliosis screening. This is verbatim from federal law, and therefore this school-based health center goes against law.
So I don't believe we're your school physician. You must have a contract for those services separate from the services we be offering.
But you'd still be on the physical property offering services like you just confirmed, like the implant into the arm, which is invasive. You've advertised vaccines for school compliance in the past. You've also just stated that you would do IUDs on young women who have not even fully
Point of order.
reached their maturation.
Point of order.
Yeah, what do we got?
Are they subject to our policies because they're not actually the school?
They're subject to federal law.
Which is our whole point. They can administer their business under federal law and state law, like they're saying. That's the whole point. So I'd like to take a vote on my motion that's on the floor.
I'd like to amend the motion on the floor.
Hey, wait a minute.
So I'm gonna have Janelle talk and then we'll come back.
And then Barry had him, yep.
Is
the school-based health center is gonna be in the high school. Is it just for high school students or for all students in the district? Like if a parent wanted to make an appointment and bring their kid from the elementary school or the middle school, would they be able to use the health center?
That's certainly a possibility if that's what your school board authorized.
Thank you for asking that.
I defer to hear what Barry's
We can-
motion
yeah.
is.
I ask that we extend this meeting until every board member has an opportunity to thoroughly review this document.
So I apologize, I won't amend my motion.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Second.
You were gonna say,
I was just gonna mention that when we were talking about the forms, opt-in and such that Molly had mentioned and we've been talking about, I think if you actually created an opt-out, you'd be violating state law, because if a student of a certain age went there, they'd have to provide the service.
Okay.
So I think that's, thinking of it that way, we'd get ourselves in bigger.
And
Dan is the, go ahead.
and would that age be 18?
Or no, the
Depends on
consent
what it
law
is.
for Maine, which is,
Again, for
I'm not trying to trick you, I just.
No, it's okay. Decisional capacity
Right.
for 3 areas, reproductive health, substance use disorder, and
Right.
mental health. We can serve students, or we serve minors without parental consent, again, if they have decisional capacity,
just like any other.
just like every
Absolutely, yeah.
office.
Jeff has a question, yeah.
This, as we discuss things, things come into my mind. So you could actually have a parent not sign a consent form. And the child could go there and say, I want treatment anyway. And that child could be determined to be, at that moment, capable of making that decision and receive the treatment. Am I getting that correctly? I mean,
For those 3 areas.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is that
And again, it's a decision by the clinician if they have decisional capacity.
and we're back to who makes the decision and how do you come around to make that decision that a child you've just met is capable of making medical decisions for themselves. And I find, again, this language, I know it's state law, but it's very troubling.
I hear you, Jeff, it's troubling, and yeah, you've answered that it is by the clinician presenting.
But I mean, it answered my question. The parent's consent is irrelevant.
I'm not sure I heard
A child can walk in,
No, that's.
and if they're determined to be competent, they're gonna get treated in those areas.
Megan, you have something to say?
No, I was just thinking that it's kind of like the parent would consent to their child being seen by that physician. That's the parent's decision, and they would be choosing for the child to be seen by that. So that's them saying that they believe that physician has the competency to assume that their child can make decisions. I mean, that's like any doctor that you would go to.
It's no different.
I mean,
Except it's on
No,
school property.
sorry, Michelle.
Sorry.
I want
I
to come back
apologize.
to, and we do have a motion
Yeah,
that was made, but Molly, you have something?
I just,
See your hand.
yeah, I mean, the purpose of this item, which I know there's a motion on the table, but this item on the agenda was discussion and consideration. And it's been a long year without productive discussion. We haven't, I spent time trying to go through and see the timeline I could come up with, and correct me if I'm wrong and forgive me if I go on too long, but October 29th, there was a community proposed forum. I attended, I chose to attend, it's advertised, there were many people there. December 5th, it was on our agenda for the first time. I could not find a time prior to that. I looked through last year. That is the first time it came for possible approval to host a clinic. There was a motion to table the vote and we voted that down. We voted to explore approval and look at an MOU and a policy in order to move forward.
Right.
It was on our we had a January 28th special school board meeting to consult with legal. February 6th, it was in our agenda as old business and that meeting was canceled. Which brings us to June 5th, when it was in Pat's report that it would be brought up at a special meeting this week. We have yet to discuss this. The public thinks that we have discussed this. And I appreciate that we've had a question answer session. I appreciate that we've met with council twice. I do very much, I just think that there's consideration to be made by some of the concerns that are being raised. But pushing through, this is our first discussion.
I disagree with you.
I totally
wholeheartedly.
disagree.
No, we've had discussions about
Completely.
6 times.
When did we have discussion?
All the times you just mentioned.
Point of order,
No,
Mr. Chairman, you're speaking out of turn, please.
It was a public
Nobody
forum, and this
scold
is
me, I'll
the first
pontificate.
time that it has come to our school board.
So-
We have not offered a public hearing.
Yes, we have.
We as a school board, Alyssa, have not offered a public hearing.
We have a meeting every month with public comment.
But these
But
two ladies have
we are
been
not
here.
allowed to interact in
So
any way.
I'm gonna have Molly kind of wrap up your kind of concept, your statement there. Alyssa, let's see, we do have a motion on the table to call the question, to vote on this. And excuse me one second,
One final question.
to discussion and consideration to approve a school-based health clinic. The motion is on the motion, second discussion. It's been called, so now we need to bring it to a vote.
Molly had one more question.
This was a first offer. Is this, it's first offer, is this our best offer? We haven't considered any other providers. We haven't considered any other options. We were approached. We have not discussed it except for tonight. We have heard many comments, Alyssa, I agree. But this is the first discussion that has been on our agenda.
Okay. Since we're not gonna follow, I'm gonna hold that motion to call the question is there. Alyssa, did you have more to add?
Nope.
I have a question. Didn't you ladies come and present before and answer questions?
Was that December?
December 5th.
I don't remember which
It was
one.
a long
months
one. It was a
ago.
whole PowerPoint
It was-
presentation.
It was a possible approval to host a health clinic. There was no discussion, there was no.
Discussion about what it is and why we want it.
I just
It's
feel
every
like-
time.
Tiny.
So
And they did come and have come.
You have to
Megan,
take some
do you have
ownership
your-
of your own.
Megan, do you have your hand up?
Yes,
Yes,
just a
thank you.
very tiny thing. I feel informed about Health Reach. I feel informed about the district's potential plan to have this clinic. I feel very informed by the community on both sides.
Mhm.
I feel like we have heard from the community, and I also feel like we kind of know where we're all sort of laying on this. And I don't know how much energy we all have to keep digging. I mean, what more information are we gonna, we've gotten a lot of information from a lot of people. You know, I mean, I just feel very informed, you know, I just.
I do have a question.
Yeah, I wanna come back to it. Michelle had her hand up first, but I know you haven't.
Haven't asked.
Yes, thank you.
Molly is correct. We have not had a public forum for this matter. We had a sales pitch and then a community sales pitch that was advertised as not an MSAD11 event. That wording may have in fact prevented parents from coming because it was not an MSAD11 event. That's number one. Number two, the December 5th meeting, again, another sales pitch. And Molly is absolutely correct. We have not had other providers. And actually, at the end of the January meeting, I talked to Joanne and to Becky. And I said, why haven't we considered other providers? And they said to me, well, if you want to do it, you can go look. And I haven't had the time to do that. So that's a problem. Another problem is that I'm happy that other board members feel that they have their questions answered, but we have a lot of parents who are asking questions. The parents that are asking questions that are in favor of this are getting their questions answered. The parents that are raising legitimate concerns are not having their questions answered and are repeatedly emailing the board saying, will you answer these questions? Will you hold a public forum? Will you ask? The community has to have a conversation. And that's not happening. we're trying to ram this through. And I completely agree with Molly. I don't think we should be ramming it through, and I think that we should, if, I understand that there's a motion on the floor. And so at this point, I do understand that we have to vote on that motion to either approve or deny. And I would hope that, all of you would represent the constituents that are emailing with questions and vote to deny this and maybe bring it back in the fall when we can have a public forum with our communities.
See, I'm gonna have Joanne.
My concern is that if it runs just like any other physician's office, the only difference is that it's the convenience of having it in school. We have FERPA, which prevents us from giving educational information to the clinic. The clinic has HIPAA, which prevents them from revealing any confidential information. And I'm concerned that the needs of our kids will be postponed again for another whole year for no really good reason. And let me just explain this. We have kids that are sexually active. They're not telling their parents. I'm sure all of us have done things in our teenage years that could have caused major catastrophe. I would rather have a kid go for condoms even to prevent pregnancy, to prevent STDs. If I had a kid who was sexually active and didn't want to confide in me, I would want them to have counseling, see if we can talk the parents in. Is this really something that you want to do? But to get the protection that they need. And I don't think that's the majority of the visits. We have incredible depression and anxiety. And in this time, there's great reason to have anxiety and depression. And that is going to affect our kids' ability to learn. I would want them to be able to go to a trusted professional and discuss things. If they are cutting themselves, if they feel suicidal. I don't want to read about some kid being bullied all the time, taking their life, or exploding out. I want to have the services that you can get anywhere else convenient to the school. There are a lot of kids that don't have transportation. This way, we can arrange to have the kids see a professional and have a determination. You have to be 16 in order not to have parental approval. That is what they just said. 3 things: mental health, reproductive services, and substance abuse.
With no age limit.
I'm not gonna take
No, that's not
comments.
no age
we're not,
limit.
We're not gonna take comments from.
That's not without age limit. It's those 3 things, 16, 17, before your 18th birthday. Okay? If you have a kid that's vaping in the bathroom and wants to get substance abuse help to stop, I would like them to be able to do that. And it's confidential. We never learn anything about what's going on in the clinic. It's not our business to know what's going on between a parent, a child, and a service provider. And it seems like everybody here wants to get into the nitty-gritty about who should be allowed to do things and who should not be allowed to do things. You have to do an intake form if you want the service. All right? And then that's HIPAA. That's all confidential with them. I don't understand why we're all playing, psychologists in the background, determining whether we want kids to have services or not. And that's all I wanted to say.
I can tell you why. Others had their hand raised first.
I can go last, that's fine.
So my concern is exactly one that she brought up, which is that they can provide mental health services. So would that include SSRIs? Would that include ADHD medicine? Would that include Prozac? You see, what we're doing is different than what happens in medical clinics elsewhere. This is the sales pitch. So actually, we're providing a direct pipeline for our children through pharmaceutical, medical, industrial entity, which is different than having a child go somewhere else to a clinic.
So I would have an
Yeah, is that
Can you answer?
prescription SSRIs or ADHD medication? Yes.
I'm sorry, just before you answer that.
Sure.
And are you aware of the study that's being done on the link between SSRIs and increased violence in younger people? The SSRIs that they can probably get at this.
I'm not aware of that study. If you would like to provide the reference, again, I'm not a clinical person. But if you have a scientific reference, we'd be happy to look at it.
Sean.
So there's been two occasions. Back in December, Barry had a line of questioning about how you make your money as a company, and you dodged that pretty well. And then when Michelle was asking you a line of questions, you were also dodging that pretty hard as well. As any sort of company that's going to be engaging with us, I'd like kind of having straight cut answers. It's like, I don't really see the purpose of you trying to obfuscate things. I think it's like anytime that we're actually trying to understand things, it's like I that kind of practice is just a souring taste in my mouth about the company, and I don't really trust you when you act like that. So that's just my piece on it.
Linda.
This is sort of a big general statement. I think back to what Sage said. And I'd like to think that my child would never have the need to go to this clinic without me knowing. That is the dream ideal world. Unfortunately, many students don't live in that dream ideal world. You may think your child and you have that going on, but you may not. And what I see this doing is being a catch-all for students whose parents don't quite see them the way they think they do, or for children whose parents cannot, will not, could not, whatever, don't have the option. I'm seeing this as being able to serve all children that may not have it any other way. And that was the equity that Jennifer, maybe was her name, was talking about, because my children were very privileged. When they needed to go to the doctor, I made sure they went. Not all children live that way, and some of you in this room may not even know any children that exist like this, but I'm telling you that they're out there. And I'd like you to think about those children, not your children, because your children are well cared for.
I guess I'd just like to ask a clarifying point. You know, again, we're talking about whether minors are getting this sort of unsupervised treatment. And obviously, it would be by an experienced mental health, clinician, medical clinician. Most of these instances are going to be parents are consenting to treatment, and they're going to be part of that. The student's going to come in, there's going to be that they sign the form at the beginning of the year, student's going to come in, parents are going to find out through insurance or maybe through a call from the clinician to say, hey, we did this as we planned. It sounds like there are rare instances, and I know I've heard some numbers, but it sounds like there's rare instances where minors do consent for treatment. That would involve students that maybe have parents that don't know about it, but maybe don't have parents available at all. Is that right? Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah. So kind of a range of things. The other thing, I do appreciate that you all are here tonight and you've been here before. And I've been really, I know we heard it tonight, I think, is to kind of look through all the noise. We've heard a lot of discussion about this. We've heard a lot of commentary from the public, from many people here through statements at that podium. We've had statements in emails, and we've had presentations here and in other areas around. It sounds to me like this is a clinic that operates like basically any other doctor's or, family care clinic in the state of Maine. It's going to operate like any of the family practices or the urgent cares or type. I don't want to name any other thing, but that type of clinic. And with a signature on a form, a parent can make sure their student or child is getting the care they need.
Yes.
I would posit that perhaps in a school setting, parents would have a greater chance of knowing that their child went to see a provider within their school than if they went to urgent care or convenient care or whatever other place they could get a ride from a friend because they needed help. You've got a greater chance of learning something in your own community, within your own school, in a school-based health center that is separately operated from the school, but is following state and federal law, just like all the other places they could go will be doing. But they're gonna follow it and not care about us. The people in your school are gonna care about your kids because we do. That's why we're here. And we continually, we all know that not everyone has access to care. We all know that. And yeah, we're lucky. Our kids, Linda, my kids, your kids, Molly, your kids, Janelle, yours, they get what they need. And that's not the case with every kid. It's just not. And I don't want us to get hung up on the idea in any way that this is a school-based sex center where kids can just go and get help with their reproductive stuff. I want to think that this is a school-based health center where kids can create a relationship with someone that's going to be caring for them. It hurts me that we can only focus on sexuality and trends and the negative things. There are so many positive things that can come from something like that. And for me, and I'm not in charge, everybody gets to do what they want. Tony, you're running it. I just want us to be honest. And there's just so much misinformation out there. And to ask these women to come and defend all of the misinformation, that's not fair. It's crazy. We need to be respectful of other people's time as well, in my opinion, but do what you need to do.
So, Michelle.
Healthcare and education are two very separate things.
Yeah.
They should not be combined. But Becky, you just posed a really great question about having a student establish a relationship to care. Yeah. What happens at the end of the school year and that provider is no longer available? A family, parents, whether it's a non-traditional family, a traditional family, parents and families are the best people to support students. They are the ones who live with the student, who care for the student. They are the ones that know their students better than any sort of decisional capacity interview. This school-based health center does not belong. And it is weaponizing empathy to try to say, oh, there's just a few students that don't have access. It is violating parental rights. It is violating our own board policy. It is violating federal law, and we should not be mixing healthcare and school. We have a job to educate our children, and that is it. And also, one other thing, we've talked about finances and grants and being funded and main care and everything like that. Our legislature, our state legislature, has not funded main care for 26-27. And the proposed implementation of the school-based health center is for 26-27. It will not be for another year. It's not imminent. So how are we going to handle the idea that we could approve this and there'll be no funding? Grants may dry up. Health Reach has been sued for inappropriate dispensing of medications. There is an actual lawsuit out
Point of
there.
order, we've been through this many times.
I agree.
We have not been sued.
Okay.
I have.
There you go.
We have not been sued.
And I want to be
CEO.
careful about sharing information if we don't have evidence. We need to be really mindful of that.
Well, there is evidence
I-
available out
I-
there, but healthcare does not belong
I
in
do want to be
education.
mindful too
Thank you.
that the school, and I'm gonna call on myself, the school also has, we have facilities use policies that allow different groups to access. This is a different relationship, but we've done that work. We also have public-private partnerships that we do. So this isn't necessarily new. And
Well, if you
in
want to
our
bring
work.
up that policy, I have it right here. That policy is.
Wait,
We just move on.
So.
We try.
And so, right, I'm gonna actually go back and I should have named this a little earlier. Alyssa, I think you called the question.
Yep.
A little bit earlier. So that means we vote on it at this point. So,
So let me just be clear,
the
we're gonna
motion-
vote on this without
the-
talking
I'm
about
gonna have the
existing
motion,
board
I'm gonna have the
policy?
motion be
Okay.
read. I'm gonna have the motion be read, please.
You
already said
Oh,
that
hang
you
on.
weren't voting,
Okay.
so.
To approve the school-based.
Right, but the public deserves.
So I just, we're gonna,
Around this
we're,
use table.
we're gonna read the motion out loud, which is,
I have to approve school-based health center.
Yes.
That was the motion.
and we have the
Correct.
second, and so yes.
Yes.
Now we will vote on whether to have a school-based health center. Okay, so all in favor of the motion to have a school-based health center?
I don't understand the
Well, stay
motion.
true to what you said.
There is so much good to come from this, Michelle.
So
But not in this
we're,
iteration.
Something doesn't work out, we can always change it, right? I mean, this
Right.
isn't like the end of the world, everybody.
And a student gets hurt and we get sued, that's great. Let people get hurt and then we
Come on,
change
the
it.
Children, jeez.
The motion is to have.
Is to.
Okay.
To approve the school-based health center. We already continued it to talk about it now, 6 months later. Now we're asking to approve it and
Point of
continue
order.
our normal policy.
we have the motion and we're voting and it's being tabulated.
Discussion has to stop with vote.
It's the same exact one
So-
that we had last time
That-
with the
It's not the
changes.
same.
Not the same.
You said same exact, you said with changes, that doesn't make sense.
To be clear, my last
We're-
motion was to continue discussion.
Point
We've
of
done
order.
that. And now.
We're in the middle of a vote, discussion has ended.
I'm not talking to you. I'm saying what my
Excuse
motion
me,
is.
point of order.
My motion is to approve a school-based health center.
Yep.
Period.
That's what-
That's my motion. And we're voting yes
And
right
I
now
have
if you wanna vote
five,
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, I missed someone.
No, you didn't.
Joanne,
You
Megan.
missed me on your list.
Right?
All right, that was all in favor? You good, Pat? Yeah, all right, all opposed?
Right, and abstentions.
Always abstaining.
Right, so we have one abstention. So with one abstention,
That's not right, though. You're missing one more. That's only 11.
I'm sorry, Barry, you voted no, right? Okay, sorry, thank you for that.
Yep.
All right, so with that, the vote is 651. That comes up with 6,806 to 5,657 and an abstention of 1,149, so it passes.
Don't worry, we'll be moving to rescind in another month.
All right, thanks to everyone for your discussion on that. That concludes our agenda for tonight, and we are officially adjourned.
Will be adjourned.
Just gonna bring it, rescind it.
We didn't get the answers to the questions that we've been asked. Hence, this maybe.
Oh, yeah, where's the rest of them?
Yeah, over here.